and welcome to Power Popping, and welcome to Inspire Me Monday. I'm Allison Cope, and today I am going to have some fun with some Copic markers, and we're going to go green today. So grab something to drink and come along and color with me. So this year, Copic marker has been challenging everybody every month with a triad of colors to use, only those 3 colors to use on their projects. So the month of March, of course, is greens. So I'm going to incorporate their hashtag Copic colors challenge for today's post. We're going to start with YG23 and YG17 and finally G17. And to keep with the March theme, I'm going to play with some March flora. So this is Power Poppy's Wish You Luck. It is a digital image, so you can go to the Power Poppy shop and download this and make it any size you want. And once again, there are hashtag Copic colors that we're going to use for March of 2018. And we're going to get started. I'm going to do a little bit of close-up work here. Hopefully you can see a little bit better. And away we go. This bloom is called Oxalis triangularis. And basically it's shamrock shape. So it's very common actual house plant, believe it or not. And we're going to have fun coloring with just shades of green. So I'm going to start, I think, with anything that's in shadow. I am going to begin with my lightest color, but I'm going to kind of map out where all my shadows are. And Marcella has indicated a lot of that by using a crosshatch texture to indicate that it's in shadow. So if you look carefully, down in some of the depths of the drawing here, there's some cross hatching, which indicates shadow. So I'm going to color that in first, and I am using my lightest color. I can always go and add, of course, deeper, darker tones, and that's the beauty of starting light and going dark. The Oxalis plant is actually typically purple in color, but there are some green varieties, but the purple is so pretty. It's like a deep, deep jewel tones with some tones in these markings on the leaves. The plant also has some white blooms. So if you notice, there's a bloom here, there's a closed bloom here, open here, open here. There's a back of a bloom here. There's a small bloom there. And yeah, it's a really, really pretty plant. And quite popular at this time of year, obviously. So just putting in all of those dark areas. Don't forget that there's stems and stuff that sit over top, so try to keep those on the lighter side if you can. I think we've got pretty much all of our dark parts. So I'm actually going to skip our mid-tone, which is our YG17, and I'm going to go straight to the G17. Actually, it's really hard to tell between these two. You could say this is the mid-tone, and you could say this is the deeper tone. It's all your eye, but we're really, really going to deepen those. Going in with those hatch marks again. To maintain highlights, I would like to leave the areas where there's that little dainty little etched pattern on the leaf. I'd like to leave that a little bit lighter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feather, we're going back to our YG23 again, and I'm going to feather my color towards those markings to maintain the lightness in that area, because I'm going to go in and add all my shading. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to go over everything with my lightest color. So this again will become green eventually, but it's going to remain much lighter by us leaving it just the way it is there. And I'll show you at the end our little trick of maintaining that nice light part. So I'm going to continue to color. I'm going to do the same thing to all of my leaves, and we'll go on to our next little trick. Alrighty, so we've got the majority of our leaves painted. Now we're going to go in and add a little bit more depth. I'm going to use our G17 to do that. Like I said, I think maybe this is the G17 is more of a mid-tone than the YG17, so that's the way we'll play it. So, of course, they're a little bit dipped in the center, and I'm going to actually go in and blend these out as we go. So I added that G17 to the center and then used my YG23 to smooth it out a little bit. So I'll do a couple at a time, working my way through all the centers. Of course, I've left all my blooms. They're lovely white. I haven't done all of the stems, like the stems here and down here towards the bottom of the bouquet. I'm going to leave those till later. I'm going to go into anything that's kind of sitting in the depths as well, like this one down here. I'm going to put a little bit of color in to get it to appear like it's down and underneath. Once again, using my YG23 to blend out. There we go. So we're starting to add more color and more depth. Some of them I'm putting more of that G17 because it is hiding underneath, so they are going to be a little bit darker in color because of the shadows. So I'll finish up my centers and any of the shading, and I'll be right back. Now we're going to go in with our YG17 and add a little bit more depth. So I'm going to go in to some of those cross-hatched areas again and kind of deepen those areas so that they're pushed back. And you have to experiment with layering your markers because sometimes you can get these really weird colors. So always take a scrap piece of paper and just trial out your combination. I am going to go into some of the areas where we've got shadows underneath too, just to make it a little bit darker. I'm going to go into some of these stems and push some of them back to the back as well, because they're layered. So it's whatever pleases your eye. Everybody does not color the same, and everybody does not see things the same. So use your best judgment, and whatever you like, do what you like. A little bit more shadows on our tucked blooms or tucked leaves. It doesn't make it look more realistic if you put some kind of shadow effect on your leaves down below, because obviously they are going to cast a shadow down below. So use your best discretion and figure out where your shadows are going to sit and how they're going to fall and how much of a shadow you want to put in. If you're just learning how to use your Copic markers, experiment, practice, practice, practice. I am no expert, I just love to color, and I love to share what I've learned over the years. I've been coloring with Copic markers for about, I think I'm going on 10 years now. And it's taken me probably 8 years just to get my full collection, because I couldn't exactly afford all the markers at once. So I just took my time and added to my collection whenever I could, whether it be 1 marker or 3 or 10 or whatever I could afford. So there we go. We've added a little bit more depth. It's looking a lot more rich and a lot more dimensional now. Keeping with our all green theme, to maintain our white, I'm just going to use this YG23 extra sparingly on our white blooms, just to kind of, first going to do their stems, because a number of them have stems popping out, a few in the background. Alright, so I'm just going to use teeny tiny itty bitty feathered strokes, just to imply that they're still white, but there is some depth and dimension. Like for our flower here, it's going to make like the center is down. I'm going to do a few itty bitties on the ends just to kind of make it look like they're curled and that this part is up and exposed to the light. A little bit on our bud, tiny bit from the center, a few itty bitties from the ends. We want to maintain that our flowers are white. Just a few itty bitty strokes on the ones that are tucked underneath. Put in a little bit of color on the stems down here. Oh, I saw a stem. It's amazing. You look at it and you go, oh, I missed that. I missed that. All right, so I'm going to do the ends as well. I'm going to color it all in our YG23 to begin with. I think I'll leave a little bit of white highlight on some of the top ones, just so that they're a little bit lighter in color. Color in some of them all the way. And we'll go in, I think, with our midtone, which I guess I'm considering G17. We'll add a little bit of deeper, darker tone to some of the stems in the back. There we go. I think I'll add just a teeny tiny touch of our dark YG17 here. Just not only to blend, but to add depth. And going back to blend in some of those blooms with our YG23. All right, so for my piece of ribbon here, I'm going to maintain that it's sheer. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of fake some of the lines you might be able to see of the stem, or sheer ribbon bundling up our stems. So I'm going to kind of just put lines as if you could see things through it. I'm going to deepen the sides because they wouldn't be as prominent. They would have a little bit more shadow as well. I think I'm going to come in with our G17 and add just a little bit more depth, just with a couple of lines. Now, the other trick too, to get a mixed color without having to blend, use your lighter marker, touch the tip of your darker marker to get you a new color mixture between the two. So you can play up both, but have it a little bit more subtle because it's not direct, because you're mixing those tips. And when you're done, just take a scrap piece of paper and literally just color that ink right off the tip, and it's a brand new marker. All right, there we go. Just a touch more. It's almost like dry brushing. So I'm going to leave a kind of a white highlight there. And I think I kind of like the white that we've left on our leaves. So I might just go back and just color over just some of our leaves in the background, not all of them, but just a few of the ones that would normally be darker just because they're sitting in that background. And I'm going to leave the white on, I think, because I really, really like that. So just going over, not being perfect, not even careful that I'm covering up all that white, because it does add a lightness. There. Just a few of them. Look at these forgotten little stems in the background here. Sometimes you may want to leave them white just so that they pop out from their background a little bit more, but yeah. There we go. I think I'm happy with that. All right. So all it is, 3 little old markers. And you can see that we've left white. Still shows up as white. Sheer, or kind of sheer. Actually, if we wanted to add a little bit more texture, what we could do is, I've just picked up my YG23 again. You know how fabric, quite often you can sometimes see the texture of it? You can see the weave. So by putting in some lines to indicate texture, or where things are woven, there, it adds even more interest. Subtle, but really cool. So if you too want to take this challenge, Just Google hashtag Copic Colors and join me for a fun March challenge. Awesome. I'll be sharing my finished card at the end with you. Thanks for joining me today, guys. I hope you had fun, and I hope to see you go green.